to go for probably 5-hour cruise now down the coast of the island. So we're approaching South Stack. I'll probably have to put a tack in. A chilly wind, but not too bad. Beautiful and sunny, so I've basically just whizzed down the coast between about 4 and 8 knots depending what the tide was doing. One of the things I love about sailing is big skies. So I'm sat here eating sourdough toast with Marmite, a nice coffee, watching birds dive into the sea to get their breakfast. So for those of you who haven't seen my videos before, this is Llanddwyn Island. It's not actually an island, it just gets cut off at high tide. So most of the time people can actually walk along from Newborough. So that's Newborough over there. Stunning location, as you can see, because you've got the backdrop of the Snowdonia Mountains. Then Newborough Forest comes right down to the sand dunes. You've got miles and miles of beautiful beach. Brilliant place. I mean, the footpaths are all made of crushed shells. The gates and stuff are all like got Gaelic writing on. It's just such a beautiful place. Used to be a place where people would come to do a pilgrimage from like all over Europe hundreds of years ago, and that's why there's so many sort of Christian references, a cross, an old church, and there's no one else here. There was a seal swimming around this morning. There's a little fishing boat over there, but that's it, just me. And it's days like today that make spending all the money on the new rigging, putting all the time in to get all the new electrical connections working, makes it worth it. So that's the RF aerial. This is the wind instruments. This is the anchor light and the masthead try, and this one's a steaming light. So all this cable is brand new. So what you can see there is the snubbing hook. So a piece of rope with a hook attaches to the chain of the anchor, and then the actual boat is connected to the rope. What this means is, in practice, is that when the anchor chain's dragging on the bottom and things like that, then the mechanical vibrations aren't transmitted onto the boat to make it noisy. Also, with the rope there's a little bit of give. So the one thing about the chains for the anchor is they're very strong, but if they get a very sharp tug they can break. So it just puts a bit of play in the system, makes it nicer to actually be on board. Often quite a lot of jellyfish, not too many this season, not at the moment anyway. In the past, I mean, I've seen the boat completely surrounded by jellyfish, and that's not conducive to going in for a swim, that's for sure. Looks like I'm shortly to be joined by 2 paddleboarders. Beautiful day for paddleboarding. rocks. There's a southerly cardinal there, but the cardinal's actually moved, so you can't trust it anymore. Nobody seems to be moving it back onto position. So I've got to swing out quite a long way just so I make sure I don't hit any rocks. It's a bit rough in the overfalls today. So ahead you can see the electricity generating plant, which is basically anchored. Not entirely 100% sure how it works, but that's where it sits. Yeah. South Stack. When you're sailing in windy conditions, it's a good practice to stay further away when it's an onshore wind, because if something happens and you don't have much time to sort it out, before you know it you're on the rocks. Got quite close to it on the way down because it was quite flat, hardly any waves and not a lot of wind, but in these conditions a bit more lively, we just stand off, and that gives us time to sort things out, sort out a sail problem, a rope problem, or turn the engine on so that we can motor out of harm's way.